proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But irresponsible, one-sided news stories plaguing our country.
Plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my new video. I hope you enjoyed the clip at the beginning of the show. It just shows you how media is controlled, and it's absolutely scary how each and every one of those news reporters say exactly the same thing, and absolutely scary. You know, media is definitely controlled, and that is proof. So I'm going to be talking about some of the latest stuff that's going on around the world. I'm going to start with Putin's speech, and I just have to say, wow, what a speech! You know, he absolutely went in there. He's given some Western leaders and some Western countries some really hard truths, and I don't remember any Western leader, or actually, no, I don't remember any leader in the world who has actually called out these Western leaders and these Western countries on their crimes and what they've been doing to the world. And I think this is the first time I've actually seen a leader just give them some hard truths. So he was talking about in the West, you know, rule-based order, how it's all a lie and is all about US hegemony, and he also mentions about all of the Western crimes in the past, all the colonialism, all the slavery, dropping atom bombs in Japan. You know, they've caused so much hate and misery throughout their time and throughout their lives, and they're still doing it. And Putin is the first leader who has actually given them these hard truths, and they're not going to like it. They are not going to like it one bit. You know, and I'm pretty sure that these Western leaders are probably talking amongst themselves right now, thinking how they can get rid of Putin. You know, they'll either try and assassinate him, or they'll try and find a way to get rid of him. And I'm pretty sure they're trying to think of ways right now. And they're probably not going to succeed, but I'm pretty sure that a lot of them will be saying that, questioning. A lot of them will be saying, you know what, enough is enough, we need to get rid of this guy. So Putin is very problematic for a lot of these Western leaders. And as I've told you in my last video, a lot of Western leaders, a lot of people that run the country, run the deep state and stuff, they're all sociopaths. And one thing you do not tell a sociopath is his crimes or her crimes. You know, they do not want to know. They do not know that what they are doing is wrong, and they will never feel like that because they are sociopaths. And for the fact that Putin is actually saying to their faces, you know, this is what you've been doing, this is what you are, you know, they are not going to like it one bit. But you gotta give kudos to Putin for saying these things. He, you know, obviously, you know, he's a very brave leader. But I can tell you one thing, you know, they can forget about trying to get rid of Putin, and I'm pretty sure they have been trying for years. If they could have, they would have done it by now. And even Zelensky is saying that he's never going to deal with Putin, he's never going to talk to Putin. Only way there's going to be peace between Ukraine and Russia is if Putin goes or he gets replaced. And when I read that, I just burst out laughing. I almost fell off my seat. I mean, this is one guy who's losing people, who's losing territory. I mean, how much longer is he going to take? You know, is he going to wait until Russia takes half of Ukraine? And is he going to wait until every single Ukrainian man is dead or injured? I mean, seriously, I mean, this guy is sacrificing the future of Ukraine for his own ego and for this proxy war for the United States, and I just can't believe he's getting away with it. And the arrogance that, you know, the fact that he thinks he's in a strong position, that he will only do peace talks if Putin leaves office or somebody gets rid of him. I mean, come on. How long has Putin been in power? You know, the chances of that happening is close to zero. So you can see the arrogance and the stupidity of this guy. I just can't believe it. And let me tell you something. Putin is actually quite mellow compared to if anybody else comes and takes over. So imagine this, people in Russia actually think Putin is quite soft. And if Putin goes, imagine if a hardliner takes over in Russia. He's not going to be soft like Putin is. He's going to go all out and probably destroy every part of Ukraine. How would you like that? Seriously. He's blaming Putin, but Putin's not the problem here, guys. This guy's, losing track of reality. So I found this quite funny as well. So he signed this document in front of a television camera, and it was edited like it was done in a movie. I don't know if you guys have seen the clip, but it was edited like you would edit a movie, and there's a production team behind it. And there's close-ups of him signing. There's wide shots. There's nice panning shots as well, and there's some nice camera angles. The guy in the camera obviously knows his tricks, and it was obviously done in a production, like a production for a film set or something. But what I find funny is this picture. I never knew Zelensky was this small. I mean, look how small he looks compared to these two guys. I mean, this guy, look at his shirt. He's not even wearing the right size shirt. Oh my God, it's crazy. It's crazy. So he's basically signed an accelerated admission to NATO. So accelerated admission based on who? I mean, did he speak to NATO? Did he speak to the Americans? Did he speak to any other member state? No, he didn't. He did not. And guess what? Germany has said there's no chance of Ukraine joining because they do not want this war to get escalated. And US has even said it as well. You can see here, White House responds to Ukraine's NATO request. Now is not the time, says the National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan. And the NATO leader then came out and said, oh, it's not up to me, it's up to the 30 member states or something like that. So these guys are just cooling on the talk of Ukraine joining NATO. So you can see there's divisions there. It's almost like, Zelensky knew that there's no chance of him joining NATO, and he was all a publicity stunt. And I just feel that he has lost all the support. He's probably getting really frustrated behind the scenes that he's not getting the support from the West, and he decided to sign that piece of paper and fill up the application form and send it himself, hoping that they would say yes. But obviously they've said no. It's not going to go anywhere. I just find the whole situation absolutely hilarious. So going back to Putin's speech again, he was basically telling all of these Western leaders they're all puppets. They're being used and abused by the United States. And this is exactly what Putin was calling them. I can't say this word because I'm going to get demonetized, but you know what I mean. And he's basically saying US treats its allies like enemies, and he's obviously talking about the pipeline that the US has bombed, and this is only going to benefit the US. It's not going to benefit the Europeans in any way. They're going to freeze. And he's also not going to benefit Russia either. He's also saying that the citizens of Western countries aren't spared from US dictatorship. And he's kind of right. If our leaders are complete puppets of the United States, then obviously we're the ones that get affected, we're the ones that suffer end of the day. And we just have to look at the cost of living crisis and all of these inflation and all these bills going up. Who's suffering? It's the ordinary people that are living in the West who are suffering. And I just find this funny. He used that word because, even I can't believe he used that word and he got away with it. He must have been really angry. You can see US dictates are backed by brute force, the law of the fist. And I have to agree with him there. I mean, there's a report. This is widely known, and you can Google it if you want. When Huawei was kicked out of Britain, at the time Huawei was putting up 5G masts everywhere. They were half done. They've been digging up the roads all over UK and putting up these 5G masts all over UK, and they're probably halfway done. And suddenly United States decided to call Boris and ask Boris to cancel the Huawei contract. And Boris was like, no, we can't, because we've already done a security audit of this. There's no problems with it. And also we already started implementing and putting all of these 5G masts up, so we can't really cancel it. It's going to be too late. And apparently these Western diplomats from the US started shouting over the phone to Boris, shouting and screaming, and eventually Boris was like, all right, I'll do it. You can see at a recent event, Vince Cable, who is a former British minister, he said that the decision of Huawei ban was made because the Americans told us we should do it. He went on to say that his stint as minister, the intelligence and security agencies repeatedly assured them that utilizing Huawei services presented no risk, and yet they still banned Britain. And if you look at the last bit here, if Britain had kept with 5G, we would have now been at the forefront of countries using the most advanced technologies, and we're not, said Cable. So you see, the United States, they never care about their allies. They don't care if the allies are losing money, if they're losing their GDP, if the economy is being affected as a result of their foreign policies. They don't care about any of that. As long as it satisfies their interests, and as long as these puppets are following the line and following their rules-based order, then they're happy about it. And this is exactly what Putin said. He's basically saying that exactly what Kissinger said, really. To be a friend of the United States is fatal. To be an enemy of the United States is probably better, to be honest. But to be a friend is absolutely fatal. So let's carry on with this article. He said, any state that aspires to genuinely have sovereignty is declared an enemy and subjected to deterrence, ringed with military bases and alliances, or sanctioned. When they are displeased, they introduce sanctions against their allies as well, against this, that bank or company. This is the practice, and they will expand it. They have everything in their sights. Good words, exactly. Then he went to talk about the sanctions against Russia. The West was blinded by its own wishful thinking, believing the world will fall in line at its command. But as it turned out, the orders only excited complete political I won't say the word, and admirers of other unconventional forms of international relations, the president said. So he's right. The West basically went in, placed all of these sanctions against Russia, and they were hoping the rest of the world would follow in line as well. And they did give a lot of pressure. They gave a lot of pressure to India. They gave a lot of pressure to China. They gave a lot of pressure to Asian countries, Pakistan, and Southeast Asian countries as well. And it hasn't worked. And the only countries who have actually sanctioned Russia are the collective West, and they are the ones that are suffering. And guess what? All of these oils and gas that they are sanctioning off Russia, they are selling it, to the East, to China, to India, and other places. So Russia is not sanctioned. It's the West who are sanctioned. And like I said, I still imagine that room where they were sitting around in the room thinking what sanctions to place on Russia. They probably thought they were in some sort of auction or something. Each and every one of those European leaders was standing up saying, let's sanction Russia on this, let's sanction Russia on that. And they're all cheering, they're all frothing at their mouths, they're all cheering, they're all laughing. Yeah, let's destroy the ruble into rubble, they were saying. And, I can imagine how excited they were when they were placing these sanctions. And guess what? All of them have shut up now. Even Ursula is not saying that the ruble has turned into rubble anymore. All of these ridiculous quotes that she used to say. And it must be really, really embarrassing for these Western leaders to hear Putin talk and give them these hard truths. He also went on. He says he did not name these guys early in the speech, but he noted the US actually continues to occupy Germany, which is true. There's about 70,000 American soldiers there. Japan, there's about 50,000 American soldiers there. The Republic of Korea, there's about 40,000 soldiers there. And other countries, and there's about 800 military bases all around the world. And some of them have been forced upon these countries, mainly they couldn't pay off some IMF loans or something like that, and the USA basically puts these restrictions on them, saying, okay, you haven't paid us back the loans, so this is what you're going to do. You're going to allow us to put a military base in your country, you're going to give us your raw materials, and you can guess from there. Which they cynically refer to as equals and allies. That's so true. While spying on their homes and offices of their leaders. Exactly, this is what they did to Merkel, calling it a disgrace to those who do this and those who like slaves silently and meekly swallow the arrogant behavior. And it's true, all of these Western leaders, they're acting like slaves, like they are being occupied, and none of them have got a spine. They can see these sanctions are not working. They can see that, they are being absolutely used by the United States, but yet they don't say anything. They don't say anything about the West. They don't say anything about anything bad. I mean, especially Macron. United States did a real massive dirty on Macron, and he just brushed it off like nothing's happened. I'm talking about the AUKUS deal, where United States had agreed to give Australia technology to build nuclear submarines, and in return Australia cancelled this huge order. I think it was about 60-70 billion or something. Huge order of submarines to France, and they cancelled it. And Macron was a little bit angry at the time, and he pulled out his French ambassadors from the US. But one day later, he sent them back on again after a phone call by Biden. And that's it, that was it. Everything's forgotten about. Oh, don't worry, we lost 60-70 billion, doesn't matter. Who cares? It's only money. Money comes, money goes, as they say. He just brushed it off like nothing's happened. And he's just doing it, the Biden administration, they're just doing it again and again. And now they've blown up that pipeline, which is a lifeline to the Europeans. I just can't believe these European leaders are just not standing up. And if one of those European leaders actually stood up, they would have been really respected, very, very respected, and the people would have gladly voted for them. But the fact they're puppets and everyone can see they're puppets, it's quite shameful. There's more, guys, there's more. The dictatorship of Western elites target all societies, including the citizens of Western countries. He noted that politicians in Europe now have to convince their fellow citizens to eat less, to shower less, often dress warmer at home, while declaring everyone who dares to ask any questions that pointing to Russia as a culprit as radical or extremist, which is right, and this is exactly what they're doing. Anyone that questions this, you called a Putin puppet. You get disabled from social media. News sites like RT get banned. Even ordinary Russians are getting banned all over the world. What kind of world are we living in? It's absolutely crazy. It's a crazy world. Then he's also talking about how these Western leaders have lost all moral, religious and family values. And it's right, because you're dealing with sociopaths, and sociopaths don't care about any of that. They don't care about consequences. They don't care about family, moral, religious values. They don't care about any of that. I also want to touch upon the fact that how the media likes to twist Putin's words. For example, when Putin said that he's going to use nuclear weapons, he only meant it as a deterrent if the West uses nuclear weapons against him. He said he will basically use nuclear weapons back. That's all he said. But the Western papers like to point out that the fact that Putin mentioned he's going to use nuclear weapons, oh my God, run for your lives, Putin's a madman. That's not what he said. And the media has got a very, very bad track record in reporting things like this. And I remember when President Xi said this, the Chinese people will absolutely not allow any foreign force to bully, oppress or enslave us, and anyone who attempts to do so will face broken heads and bloodshed in front of Iron Great Wall of the 1.4 billion Chinese people. So guess what these Western reporters were basically reporting? And you can see here, we'll bash your bloody heads against the Great Wall. And you can see how it's all twisted and completely, it's almost like, you can imagine these Western papers and media thinking about somebody grabbing someone's head and bashing it against the Great Wall of China. The Great Wall. And that's not what he said. He's talking about the Great Wall of Chinese 1.4 billion people. He meant that wall, not physically the Great Wall. It's crazy. So now I want to move on to Mr. Blinken and the US. And you can see Blinken now admits that Nord Stream explosions are a tremendous opportunity for the United States. Of course it is. Of course it's a great opportunities. Now the United States can sell more LNG to Europe, and in fact Europe doesn't have a choice anymore because they've blown up these pipelines. And of course it's a great opportunity for them. I mean, everybody knows it's the United States. I don't know if you guys watch films or Netflix. There's a film on Netflix called Don't Look Up, and I would really recommend you to watch it because it really does give you a look on how the United States government and how it's run and how these people think, how dumb sometimes the president is as well. And it's all about an asteroid basically coming to hit the Earth, and it's just really like a satire film. And and the leadership for American leadership, and they're really being stupid about it. And you got some guy who's pretending to be the leader of Apple, and he says that this meteorite has got lots of raw materials we can use, so we should let it hit Earth and then mine it. So they came up with this stupid idea to let that meteorite hit Earth. So it's really stupid. You should watch it. It's so funny. And obviously the Russians and the Chinese didn't like that plan. So they were building their own satellite, which would have destroyed the meteorite. And so they were about to launch that satellite to go into space to destroy that meteorite. And guess what? The United States sabotaged that launch site and completely destroyed all hope of destroying that asteroid. And the asteroid eventually came and destroyed the Earth, and everybody died. And you need to watch the film. It's a really, really funny film. It's one of the best films I've seen in Netflix. And this is exactly what they've done. They've sabotaged this pipeline only because they can, and only because nobody else is going to say anything. You don't see the Europeans saying anything. The whole world knows they did it, but is anyone going to do anything about it? I don't know what they can do, really, to be honest. And I think the United States know that. And I just think it's really arrogant behavior from them. Very, very arrogant. There's bad news further for Europe as well. You can see Russia halts gas delivery to Italy as well. And also Russian gas exports to EU via Turk Stream plunge, and that goes down. So things are not looking good for Europe. And, you know, you got a new government now who's supposed to be more friendlier towards Russia in Italy. So we'll see how she reacts and how she governs the country over the next few weeks. Will there be any change? We don't know, but we'll see. Anyway, that's all I have time for today, guys. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Do what you can to help with the algorithm, or you can join me or support me or buy me a coffee as well. So thanks a lot, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye bye.